I was drawn to this apartment because of the convenience its location provides for commuting to the city center while being still removed from the hustle and bustle of the city. I wanted a home that could feel easily lived in, a home that could feel like a warm embrace every time I stepped into the space. I love the feeling of being surrounded by objects of affection, as well as the memories associated with those objects. Similarly, for my own home, I never had a set theme in mind. My aim was really just to create an honest space that could remain absorbent enough to hold all the diverse objects I've collected over the years and will continue to collect in the years to come. This HDB apartment was built in the 1980s and comes with 2 bedrooms. It's about 700 square feet. As this is an old flat from the 1980s, I felt compelled to preserve a sense of artifact throughout the home. I've been fortunate to have worked on architectural conservation projects in my past experience, so I have a soft spot for preserving the features of a space that allude to the memory of that particular space. For example, the roughly textured walls and ceilings, which are typical of these old HDB flats, have been left intentionally unplastered and finished only with a coat of paint. The simple act of preserving these elements creates a subtle sense of nostalgia and reverence for a space that is in fact older than I am. I've always believed that a dwelling, especially a small one, doesn't have to be over-designed with a lot of expensive custom work to feel like home. So I reduced built-in cabinetry to a minimum and instead spent time carefully selecting well-designed furniture pieces that resonated with me. I selected loose furniture made of solid timber such as pine and cherry that looks great and ages well, while built-in cabinetry requiring the additional durability of laminate finishing are made in solid colors so as not to mimic the effect of real timber. Upon entering the home, you step directly into the living space, which is at once a tapestry of objects and colors. You immediately notice the expanse of the space, which is made possible by the removal of a wall that separates the second bedroom and the main area. The living space is lined all the way through with pinewood shelves from the Ivar shelving system, which I assembled myself. I'm a huge fan of this particular shelving system from IKEA because of its modularity, flexibility, and purity in its geometry. On these shelves, I've placed objects that I've collected from all over the place, or that have been gifted to me by dear friends. All of these objects carry a certain significance and story behind each one of them, and I wanted to feel embraced by all of these stories and memories within my own space. Apart from the shelves, I've made sure that all my furniture was kept below a certain datum line to keep the space feeling as big as possible, and to ensure any natural light coming through the windows remains unencumbered. When selecting soft furnishings for my space, I paid a lot of attention to material quality and texture of the fabrics, because I'm actually quite an avid collector of natural and handmade fabrics. I'm especially proud of this burgundy wool rug made by a Beni Oran tribesperson in Morocco, which I feel perfectly grounds and anchors the living space. I had custom steel pipe curtain rails installed, which works with ring and clip curtain holders that in turn allow me to use any type and any size of fabric as curtains. The curtains I currently have up are Korean linen cotton fabric panels with a geometric print. I've also made cushion covers out of old Shanghainese block printed fabrics and sofa throws out of silk dupattas from North India. The other side of the living space is where the former secondary bedroom was located. It's an open study and work area that is anchored by a central table. I had the walls and ceilings of this side of the home painted a grey-green color as a gesture of demarcating the original volume of this side of the home, almost like the home was dipped halfway into paint. Right behind the central table, the large floor-to-ceiling storage cabinet behind the central table doubles as a wall feature. The cabinet doors are made of sapele plywood, which has a rich burgundy color with the most beautiful swirly wood grain. The oversized cabinet pulls are made of plywood as well, but finished in a very interesting reconstituted timber veneer from Italy. I really love how the contrast between the cabinet doors and the handles is able to create so much visual interest that it appears more like a wall mural than a storage cabinet. I really wanted a designated dining area because I've always felt that taking time out for a proper meal in a special spot reserved just for dining is such an important part of daily life. I selected a round dining table in solid cherry wood, just right for 4 people. By floating the dining table away from the adjacent walls, the dining appears more generously spaced, while a pendant lamp helps to centralize and formalize the dining table as a key element within the home. The kitchen is separated from the main living space by a glass sliding door that the previous owner had installed. I decided to keep it because I prefer having a physical separation between the kitchen and the living. A great plus point of this glass separation is that it allows natural light from the far end of the unit to penetrate as far as possible into the home, which is otherwise a little poorly lit due to its long and narrow layout like many older flats. I kept the kitchen intentionally simple and utilitarian, with a built-in countertop for the sink and stove. While I was designing the kitchen counter, I was oddly reminded of science lab benchtops during my schooling years, so I decided to select a dark blue quartz countertop from iQuartz that kind of looked like those benchtops. The bedroom is quite a small space, but thankfully it was still able to comfortably fit a solid timber king-sized bed. I decided to lean into the smallness of the bedroom, keeping it as cozy as possible. The walls and ceiling are painted the same grey-green used on the outside of the bedroom, which incidentally creates a wonderfully soothing vibe during bedtime. For a little bit of ambient lighting, or when I decide to read in bed, I have 2 bedside lamps from the Australian brand Tala, which are made of mouth-blown recycled glass. I'm a big fan of utilitarian bathrooms anyway, so I didn't see the need for custom cabinetry that might further compromise the usable space of the already tiny bathrooms. It hasn't been that long, but I absolutely love living here. The feeling of coming home to all of my favorite things within a charmingly oldish space is quite incomparable, almost like a little cavern of curiosities tucked away from everything. I love how my home lets me be creative and fun and messy, but also cozy and thoughtful without having to worry about things looking out of place. I've designed many spaces for other people in my work, but through this experience of making my own home and getting to live in it, I've been reminded that it is so important for a home to be a place where you can be your true self.